If you're a new or free-to-play player in War Robots, progressing through the early leagues can be confusing. There are a lot of robots, weapons, drones, and resources in the game, and it's very easy to waste your resources on the wrong things. In this video, I'm going to go over some of the most important tips that will help free-to-play players progress efficiently without wasting valuable resources. On a side note, this voice is AI generated. First, in the early leagues, it's a very good idea to start investing in robots that are not necessarily in the meta but are still strong enough to perform well. Meta robots change very frequently, and they usually require a lot of resources to upgrade. Instead, focus on solid robots that have proven to be reliable for a long time. Some good examples include Ravana, Fenrir, Raven, Dux, and Ravager. These robots may not always be the newest or strongest, but they can still perform very well when upgraded properly. Another important tip is to avoid upgrading meta weapons or robots early in the game. Resources are extremely valuable when you're starting out, and spending them on meta equipment is usually a mistake. In most cases, meta equipment comes from things like purple data pads, Titan data pads, weapon data pads, or anything that's above the common data pads. The problem is that meta gear is often released overpowered and then nerfed later. Because of this, you may end up spending a lot of resources on something that becomes weaker after a rebalance. Instead of investing in meta equipment, it's much better to upgrade non-meta weapons that are still good enough for free-to-play builds. For close-range combat, some good options include ice rockets, blast shotguns, sonic shotguns, chroma weapons, and the Ochokochi shotguns. These weapons can deal strong damage at close range and work well on many robots. For mid-range combat, there are several strong options as well. Radioactive weapons like Decay, Hazard, and Blight are very good. Bendy bullets are also a strong choice, along with electric weapons like Calamity, Scourge, and Spark. Infinite ammo weapons like Nucleon, Atomizer, and Quarker can also perform very well. Another option is the Hornet and Wasp set, although there is no light weapon in that set. When it comes to sniping weapons, I generally don't recommend them for beginners. Sniper weapons are very map dependent and only really work on specific maps. On top of that, sniping usually means you are staying far away from the action, which means you aren't helping your team capture or defend objectives. Many sniper weapons are also relatively weak compared to other weapon types. Another very important thing to monitor is your robot and weapon levels. For free-to-play builds, a good goal is to get both your robots and your weapons to around level 12. You can upgrade them to MK2 or higher if you really enjoy using them and if they are unlikely to get nerfed, but this should be done carefully. Even at level 12, many free-to-play setups are strong enough to survive in Champion League if you play effectively. It's also important to understand how the rebalance cycle works in the game. Every few months, the game receives a major rebalance update. During these updates, the newest equipment is usually nerfed because it was released overpowered. Popular setups can also get nerfed, including some free-to-play builds. This is another reason why investing heavily in meta equipment early on is a bad idea. As a beginner, you probably won't even finish upgrading the gear before it gets nerfed. When it comes to Titans, one of the first things you should do is replace the Kid Titan as soon as possible. A very good early option is the Arthur Titan, which is a massive upgrade compared to Kid. Later on, there are several strong Titans that free-to-play players can obtain, such as Indra, Luchador, Ether, Luton, Bedware, Versaglier, and Mauler. The best way to obtain these Titans, as well as new robots and weapons, is through the black market. Getting keys for the black market is actually quite simple. By watching a few ads every day, you can earn around 9,000 keys per month. If you save those keys and use them during a 2 times faster super chest event, you can get a lot of valuable rewards. In terms of gameplay, I highly recommend playing Beacon Rush most of the time. This game mode is less dependent on who has the strongest equipment, and more dependent on who controls the beacons. If you focus on capturing and defending beacons, you can contribute just as much to your team as players who are using meta equipment. Drones are another important part of the game. Nowadays, drones tend to work best when they are paired with specific robot abilities. Because of this, you should look at older drones that are no longer meta and see if their abilities work well with your robots. For example, the Kestrel drone at level 12 works very well with the Raven robots when using the Nessa Riggs pilots because it allows you to gain gray damage healing. There are also some drones that work well on almost any robot. A few good examples include the Shy drone, the Seeker drone, and the Armadillo drone. If you reach a stage where you want to spend a little bit of money on the game but not huge amounts, the best thing to buy is usually resources rather than equipment. Resources like Memorium, Platinum, and Microchips are extremely useful and will help you upgrade your gear more efficiently. Investing in meta equipment requires a very large investment, so if you can't fully commit to upgrading it, it's better to avoid buying it entirely. If you prefer to stay free to play, there are still plenty of ways to earn resources. Playing battles, earning battle crates, completing operations, and playing extermination mode can all provide a steady supply of resources. When playing extermination specifically, try to use the weapons that have the weekly boost. These boosted weapons deal more damage in that mode, which makes it much easier to complete the stages and earn the rewards. To use upgrade keep in mind is how to use upgrade tokens. Upgrade tokens are extremely rare and are usually used near the end of upgrading robots, weapons, drones, or pilots. One place where they are used is Hank's Drifting Shipyard, where they act as a gambling entry fee. However, using them there can be risky because you might end up getting an older ship, a drone, or something you didn't actually want. Because they are so difficult to obtain, you should spend them very carefully. want to invest in or reach the point where you want to invest in ultimate equipment or some meta gear, I recommend limiting yourself to only 1 or 2 setups. You should only do this after you already have a fully established free-to-play hangar and a strong Titan. Ultimate equipment can still be nerfed, and it is extremely expensive to upgrade, so it's important not to rely on it too heavily. Finally, one of the most important things you can do is prioritize upgrading your Titan. Titans have a much bigger impact on the outcome of a match than most regular robots. Because of this, leveling your Titan and choosing the right Titan weapons should be one of your main priorities. If you focus on building strong non-meta setups, managing your resources carefully, and playing objective-based game modes, you can progress very far in War Robots even as a free-to-play player.